This episode contains violence. I am in mortal peril. Use your discretion, for I know you love me and might faint to consider a hammer hitting my handsome head. From 1603 and Tudor Time Machine, this is episode 8 of Out Brief Candle, an investigation into a murder at William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. I'm Jessica.
I'm Gage, and we are Tudor Time Machine. Subscribe to our Tudor Time Machine channel on YouTube or listen on your favorite podcast streaming site.
It's 1603, England has a new king, and a fierce competition for his favor has the London theatre companies in a frenzy. This competition might be the motive behind the murder of one of the Globe's actors.
Philadelphia was sheathing the dagger with her lover, actor Burbage, when quarantine closed up the Globe. Plague is sweeping the city, and, horribly, the actor Robert Pavey is mysteriously stabbed. Who committed the murder?
It's a whodunit. Everyone at the Globe is a suspect, and Philadelphia, disguised as man of law, Master Constable Blatt, steps forward to investigate. William Shakespeare himself is a suspect, but he says he was with the singer Tatania when the murder happened. Trying to track down the whereabouts of Tatania led Philadelphia to discover the singer is her own half-sister. Tatania's mother, Amelia Bassano, was Philadelphia's father's mistress. Coincidences abound, just like in a Shakespeare play.
It's a tangled web. We need our Tudor time traveler, Philadelphia Carey, to untangle it.
Or maybe to make it more complicated? Philadelphia managed to track Tatania, but got sidetracked by Tatania's flattery and came to impress us with how much she impresses Tatania.
We sent her back to confirm the alibi for Shakespeare. Here she is. Philadelphia, tell us everything.
I tell you, I am most exceptionally distraught, and you pod ladies are to blame.
Us? How's that? What did we do?
You insisted I return to Tatania and said I must remove the handkerchief I stuffed in her mouth and untie her hands and wrists. Well, of course you had to do that. Tatania is not your prisoner, Philadelphia. The oaf twig had bound her very tightly, and I began to sweat like an ox, and that was most unpleasant. The moment she was free, the minx tried to escape out of the window again, and I had to restrain her by clutching her around the waist like a wrestler. But I am no Jacob to wrestle the angel. Tatania spun me about until I cried out, "You know my worth! Let us make a bargain!" That brought my release, the greedy guts.
What did you offer her?
I flourished the gold ring upon my hand. Did she take it? No, she did not. She said if I were to hear the truth, I must give her something of great worth. Damn my persistence. I had to know the truth. Oh, woe, good Tatania, I said. I have a gift worth tarrying for. What, lady? The chit responded. A miniature of our own good father I wear about my neck.
I didn't know you wore a portrait of your father. That is so sweet.
I do not. It is of my husband, Timothy Baron Bolton, and I care not to part with it. Not Timothy, Thomas. Your husband's name is Thomas. And I can't believe you tried to trick your own half-sister like that. Tried? Oh, my dear, she was utterly hoodwinked. One miniature of a nobleman with a ruff and a pointy beard looks much as t'other.
Philadelphia.
What matter? She can sell it or treasure it. It is hers.
But what did she say? Was she with Shakespeare?
Did she steal the money from Pavey? Philadelphia, do you think Tatania did it? She was so very taken with the gift I bestowed, she clasped my hands and said she would tell me all. My Shakespeare, she said, is a man whose understanding must be reckoned with. But I must also love men who are in command, and men who are sweets to the eye. I love Will, but I was also enthralled to Master Hemmings, and to young Pabby too, may God rest his soul. I am a girl of appetites and passions. You disapprove. You wish me to spark and flame only upon the stage. Oh, my sister, it cannot be. Fire is fire is fire. Wow, she really says what she thinks.
And I think of women as having so much shame in this time period.
I don't know. I think the sex shame thing really arose in the Victorian period. In the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, it seems like women were less inhibited. I know not of inhibited, yet many a woman takes a lover. If the man is of her class, I think no one is shocked. Yet Titania did confess to me something I found astounding.
She murdered Pavy.
No, indeed, she much regretted Pavy's death. They were friends. Titania told me that Shakespeare had an audacious plan to have her as the first actress of the London stage.
That is so Shakespeare. He understands that Titania can bring something unique. He wanted to give her a chance. I'm so impressed that he could think that way. But wasn't it against the law for women to act in England?
No law. It is simple custom against actresses.
Really? I always thought it was an actual law. That's how it's presented.
No. The Puritans would burn the theatres to the ground if a woman stepped on the stage, but they hate anything of any fun. There is no law. Perhaps the men find it such delight to strut upon the stage and wear gauds upon their chests, they do not wish to include women. They say the female is not a noble enough sex to speak lines upon the stage.
Noble? What's so noble about Dromio boinking Antipholus on the head?
Or all the sexual puns written into every 16th century play. Do not hound me. I tell what is, not defend it. Here in England, women can sing, dance, rope walk, do acrobatics upon our stages, but they cannot speak. That is that. Shakespeare was considering breaking that custom? Tatania said to me that is because he adores her, and also because she is of Venetian descent. Tatania explained to me that in other countries, women have conquered the stage.
Really? Women are performing on stages in Europe, but not in England? That's so strange.
She told me of an actress, Isabella Andrini, the leading player of a company called the Gelosi. Do you not like my Venetian accent? Titania taught it me. She said this Andrini is the most famous player, man or woman, on the continent.
When I was a kid, there was a local troupe that did Shakespeare in the woods every summer, and we would sit under the trees and have sweet tea, and I loved it. And that's where I first learned about Shakespeare. I think it's much more common to learn about Shakespeare than European theater in the U.S.
Do not speak it. Do not speak it. I fear you had no servant to arrange a cloth to protect your bottom from the ground. Ay me! I am not surprised your education is lacking. Titania insisted Isabella Andrini is an actress of great worth. I've read about her, and there is an incredible portrait of her done by the big deal Venetian painter Veronese that shows her importance and her wealth. She traveled Europe, performed for royalty, for Henry IV of France, Marie de Medici, for everyone. She was the head of her company, which was the first to be patronized by the nobility. Yes. Titania called her the toast of Florence, Fontainebleau, Asperg, Turin, Milan, Naples, Rome, Paris. Oh, I burn to meet this diva. There's no record of Isabella Andrini coming to London.
London was a bit of a cultural backwater compared to the continental cities.
How can you speak such rot?
Philadelphia, I grant you there are great playwrights, Shakespeare, Marlowe, Johnson. But come on, the art scene in the 16th century in England? Zero. Music? Zero. Stage design? Zero. Prose writing? Zero. I mean, Cervantes was writing Don Quixote at the beginning of the 1600s.
Well, it's true. Tudor files can be very Anglo-centric. And Shakespeare, of course, is Shakespeare. But if we're talking about the development of the theater, the first Western secular plays were written as far back as the 13th century. And who were the innovative Englishmen who penned these works? They were not English, Philadelphia. They were French and Italian. I stop my ears against you. Philadelphia, it's just a fact. The Renaissance in the arts came late to England. I mean, not really until the Tudors, Henry, Elizabeth, and some historians think not even until James I. Gage is right. Music, painting, art, even the classical theater, which we think of as so dominated by England, had its origins in late medieval France and Italy.
Stage design was dominated by the Italians, and the first purpose-built public theaters were built in Rome and Ferrara in the 1560s. And it turns out women were acting on them.
I shall warrant, given the chance, my sister could play any role as well as some low-born Roman or Ferrarian. Do not doubt her. Shakespeare implored her to take up the role of Rosalind in As You Like It. I have told you he did not want Robert Pavey to play the role. But Tatania did refuse Shakespeare's offer. But she worships Isabel Andrini so much, doesn't she want to be the star of the stage? I said the same. But Tatania said it would be a little hell to be the first to break convention, that the other players would resent her. She lit up with her lament on the subject. She said on the first performance she would lift her lovely gown. It would have birthed 1,000 Beatles. Her sleeves would be sewn shut, and she would be tripped, nipped, and bumped on stage. Her props would not be set, and a piece of machinery would fly at her head. She said she knew no place would be made for her in the tiring room. No one would tell her of the grease paint on her nose before her entrance. She hazarded that the louts, saboteurs would drown out her most exquisite speech with burps and barts and offstage antics. For her there would be no word of praise from any company player. She cried that the loneliness of being a hated member of an acting troupe was a hell she could not bear. Oh, she was a poet of sadness.
Philadelphia, do you think that's what would happen?
Would the other players really try to sabotage her? Oh, most certainly. And yet if I were offered a chance upon the stage, I would take it. Would I not shine? Do I not fool as Master Constable Blatt?
I wouldn't get ahead of yourself, Philadelphia. I don't think it's so easy to create a character in performance. There's so many things to think about. How do they walk? What upsets them? What's the tone of the play? How does the character see themselves as opposed to how other characters see them?
Well, Shakespeare loved that dichotomy. Like in Twelfth Night, Viola knows Orsino sees her as a guy, and so he's very familiar and intimate with her. But Viola knows she's really a girl, so she's jelly inside when he touches her, and she feels guilty for deceiving him, and she has to sword fight, which she doesn't want to do. It takes a great imagination and real intelligence to put it all together and make sense of it as an actor. Blah, 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 blah. I too can learn lines and not bump into the sets. That is all that is required. The rest is présence, and that I have in abundance.
That is not it. That is only the beginning. Never mind. Let's go back to the murder mystery. We've established that Shakespeare was with Tatania when the murder occurred.
I suppose so. Tatania said Pavey was furious that Shakespeare did not want him to play Rosalind. She said she and Pavey had been great friends, but that Shakespeare's desire she play Rosalind and, may I add, become a person of historical significance by becoming the first woman upon the English stage caused a grievous rupture in the friendship between herself and Pavey.
Philadelphia, is Shakespeare innocent?
Oh, la-di-da. His alibi is true. Shakespeare is innocent.
I knew it.
Perhaps now you can expend your mind and help poor moi and Jessica. Carrying you through this obsession has been an ass's burden, and I am no ass.
We all want to solve this murder.
Indeed. To tell true, I accused Tatania of killing Pavey to get his roles, but she cried out against this. I am no more a murderer than you, a constable. But since I have twice the wit of any common blat, I pressed her. I said I knew from Alice that she had come into some weighty coin. She must explain. That's a good point, Philadelphia. And from the evidence, it's not a crazy idea. Jessica understands, and one must sprinkle a little salt in a wound to extract an infection, as they say.
That's not an expression.
Tatania did admit that when she heard of Pavey's death, she went to the trunk where he stored his costumes and claimed them as her own. Such were the contents of the bundle she pushed from the window.
You have to provide your own costumes in the theater?
Indeed. One cannot expect the poor theatre owners to pay for such things.
But how did they do it? Did they have the money to pay someone to make their costumes for them?
No, indeed. Servants sold them to the actors.
How did the servants have them?
Do you know nothing? When a wealthy person dies, if they are persons of great generosity, they will leave a gown, or a hat, or a doublet to the servant. The servants cannot possibly wear such things.
Why not?
Because it is illegal. It is part of the sumptuary laws. They sell these items and actors buy them so they might play the part of the upper class. Tatania took all the items Pabby used as his costumes. She really sprang into action when she heard of his death. She's a little hard-hearted, just like you, Philadelphia. How is a woman such as she to make her way in the world without coin, without costume? I condemn her for nothing. Indeed, it was mere practicality that sent her to Pabby's room to retrieve the garments and to lift the board she had often seen him hide his coin beneath. Did I myself not take one of my good Queen Elizabeth's gowns after she breathed her last? I did.
Tatania stole his costumes and his money.
Simpleton! How can one steal from the dead? She is wise. She caught her dress on a nail and rent it, and so she gave it and some other frayed thises and thates to Alice. Alice is a woman of talent with a needle, though in her person she is repulsive. It's coincidence that Pabby was murdered and she knew where his money and costumes were? It still seems like she could be the one. No, indeed. Have I not put your mind to rest? She was with your darling Shakespeare. She does admire him, but she does wish to find her way to Venice and prove her worth to her as an actress. Does it not move your heart? When the lower classes do wish to make something of themselves, does it not bring a little tear to the eye?
Come on, tell the truth, Philadelphia. Did you help her?
Why should I do such a thing?
But did you?
Is it a question with sense? Are you afraid we might think you're sympathetic because she's your sister? I did help her so that I might not have to look on her again. I helped her retie the rope to the gallery, gave her a leg up to the window, and let her kiss my hand before she lowered herself down. I threw her cloak down after her, but she was a quick thing and out of sight before her cloak even landed. It lay on a pile on the street.
I hope she made it to Venice. I wonder if...
La 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 la.
No future talk. Did poor Twig come back with the nicer ring?
Not 5 minutes after she bid me adieu did the oaf Twig return with a paste ring from the costume box. I will be wed, he bawled. 'Twas lucky I had restuck my Blackbeard and donned my hat. I chided him for tarrying so long, and told him that in his absence the chit Tatania had thrown herself from the window. I bid him see her body on the street. Of course it was only her cloak, but the silly fell for the ruse and wept his eyes out.
Oh, Philadelphia, that is so cruel. How could you do that to the poor man?
It was not cruel. It saved my good sister Tatania from being tracked down and held by a broom-bred, brainless booby. Now she will escape to Venice and become a diva.
Is there another person you think might be a likely suspect?
I cannot say. You look sad. What are you thinking, Philadelphia? I cannot tell. I must return to the scene of the murder. And poor Jane with her prisoners in the hut. I hope Jane is in good health. Ta-ta!
Outbrief Candle is a production of 1603 and Tudor Time Machine. And many thanks to barber surgeon Master Mark. You'll look fantastic in the Outbrief Candle swag. The link is on the YouTube channel and the Podbean channel. You'll be Tudorific in the t-shirts, and thank you for joining us. Hit subscribe!